With your eyes closed, let's become aware of the breath and its pattern. So together as a group, exhale and inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Keep a cycle of breath going. Slow, quiet, and relaxed. Belly rises, belly falls. And just see if you can get your body, your mind, and your breath in some degree of synchronicity. Perhaps noticing the quieting of the mind even a little bit. As an inhale moves into an exhale. And try to stay here for just a few more moments, even if you want to come out. Try to stay for 3 or 4 conscious, slow breaths. And before we come out, for those of you who have done meditations with me before where we meet our guides and our divine support team, please go ahead and do that. Your guides, your divine support team, your angels, your ancestors, the continuity of energy that you are, just connect in that energy field. If you've never done it, don't worry about it. Just breathe. There you go. Nice work. And then when you're ready, start to come back to the room, back to this moment, opening your eyes when you're ready. So those of you who are not from Greater Vancouver, we have a snow day, which does not happen in Vancouver. And when it does, the whole city shuts down. So we're all cold. My husband had to walk me in. I live like 100 steps from here because it's so icy. So my husband was like holding my hand. It was actually quite cute. So welcome, guys. So when I was tuning into what to teach today, so some of you that are newer to my Skool community, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being live. What I typically do is teach for 20 minutes, half an hour. I don't know how long. And then I'll be open up to Q&A. So that's when I'll coach. And we try to wrap usually about the hour mark. So keeping that in mind. And what I've decided to do today, because I know there's a number of you who are in some of my other containers. So if there's a bunch of hands up, I'm going to choose the people who are not in my other containers first, just because a lot of you I interact with weekly, like every week or twice a week, some of you. So just so y'all know, so don't take the wrong way in case I do that. All right, so what we're going to work on today is today's lesson from A Course in Miracles is I can find peace instead of this. So what does that mean? So that means this idea that there is peace available to us all the time. I'm going to try to synopsize a little bit of A Course in Miracles, which some of you know a lot of my teaching is based on. And if you don't know, A Course in Miracles is a book that's about 1,000 pages that no one ever really reads. I'm joking. But a lot of self-development books are based on it. But one of the pieces from A Course in Miracles, and what you really want to understand is all spiritual books to some degree, so whether it be the Gita, the Bible, the Quran, Talmud, have the same beliefs or thoughts. It's all very similar. Is that the mind is this big, expansive thing that we have very little understanding of. So the mind is something that's really big and really expansive, but we suck at understanding the mind. But because I'm very visual, I hope this helps you to have this visual with me. There's a part of our mind, and we talked about, I think, last week in this container, there's a part of our mind that connects to what's called the God, spirit, the universe energy of unconditional love. another part of their mind that just connects to fear. And we all have had that experience. We'll be in a bad mood and we'll see a sunrise and we'll be nice for a minute, right? We've all had that experience. And that's because God's mind, spirit's mind, is here all the time. And the ego's mind, which is just purely fear, guilt, anger, worry, is just running us. And our job as a human is to connect, if we want to have a happy life, is to see the ego's thought systems and pull away from them to step into spirit thought systems. But because we're all over 20, 30, 40 years of age, it takes a bit of work. And it takes work to go, okay, I don't have to think that thought, but I want to go here. And today's quote is, I can choose peace instead of this. And most of you know it doesn't happen just by thinking about that once. It's this journey of like, oh, there's that thought. I can grab that thought or not. But the quality of life we have is 100% dependent on that choice that we make moment to moment to moment. And we also want to remember that our experience on the external realm is 100% a mirror to our internal realm. And this can be annoying to hear that. You know, most of us have heard that concept that I create my reality. Hate that expression. We've all heard it, right? We hate it because it's like, what does that mean? Our mind is constantly creating this external world. And if you're over about 40 or 50 years of age, you can actually start to see your patterns. Your dad was mean, your first husband was mean, every man you meet is mean, or you don't trust women, and it's a pattern. And then you wake up when you're 40 and 50, or hopefully younger, and you go, wow, there's something going on here. Wow. And if you want to do the work, you start to realize the work works, but the work never ends, which a lot of us know. So the quote we're going to work with today that almost all of you have heard is that Marianne Williamson quote, but we're going to dive into it deeper. Okay, I'm going to put it into the chat box. Most of us have heard this quote. And again, this is Marianne Williamson is a well-known teacher, and she has this quote that she's written, and it says, our greatest fear, and we're going to break it apart, so we're going to go slow. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Just take that in. Think how much time you spend all day thinking you don't count, thinking you don't matter, thinking you're a fuck up. Like that's all day, every day. But our greatest fear is not that. And so many of us spend a lifetime trying to dig into that thought process that says you're a screw up and get to the bottom of it. But what she's teaching us is our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And a lot of like spiritual seekers have heard this quote and go, yeah. Keep going. But hear that again. Your greatest fear is your power. Your greatest fear is how amazing you are. Your greatest fear is in your stillness, because in your stillness is your power. In the right now is your power. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is that light, not our darkness, that frightens us. Remember today's quote, I can find peace instead of this. I can stay mad at my husband. I can stay mad at the snow. And I know we have a mix of Americans, Canadians, Europeans, I know that. And, you know, a lot of Canadians are mad at America right now, or Trump right now. Not that I'm trying not to bring politics into this, trust me. But, you know, a lot of, you know, if you can't turn on a Canadian television right now without hearing about the tariff wars that are going on right now. So I can go into that fear or that darkness like this. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us the most. If I ask 1,000 spiritual people this weekend, how much did you choose light instead of that fear? Despite having read all the books, our nervous system goes into that fear. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're playing small does not serve the world. We were born to make manifest the glory of God. And sometimes that's where people pull away from this, because that word God has a lot of kind of ancestral pain, right? Like God is mean, God is horrible, God religion. And so see if you can soften into that word. We were born to make manifest the glory of the universe that is within us. And we let our own light shine. And when we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. So now my question, I want you to use the chat box. In your day-to-day life, if there were like two pipes that, how much do you, and just use percentages, and I want the total attached to 100. How much do you go into fight, flight, freeze, past, future? That's the first number, versus the energy of our divine support team, the I am, your God, the now. So the first number is, and I just want you to the first numbers are going to pop into your head. Am I 65% past, future, which is also the same as fight, flight, freeze, which is also the same as trying to figure something out, which is also the same as worrying, which is also the same as anger, fear. So we got some 50-50s. We got 80 and 20. We got 50-50. Okay, there's more than 3 of you guys on the call. What percentage are you past, future, fight, flight, freeze versus God's energy? 70-30, 80-20, 65-35. So you can see that there's more of a tilt, a higher tilt. Kimber doesn't count. I was waiting for somebody like Kimber to type in 20-80, where she's 20% in the ego versus 80. And so it's much more common. Yeah, Sharon changes day to day. Perfect. And so you don't count either. I'm teasing. But much more common like Val, 90-10, 40-60. So guys, this is the common thing. No matter how many spiritual books you've read, no matter how much quote unquote work you do, every day can either be like fear-based, which is that first number, past, future versus the divine. And what the work is to kind of when it's like, it's the thing is, it's not hard work. And honestly, guys, medical school is harder than this work. Like, honestly, okay. I did 10 years of medical school. I can tell you that was harder than this work. Actually, no, the other way around. Sorry, I said it backwards. This work is hard. Medicine is just like sitting behind a desk and like studying all the fucking time and showing up on tests and writing tests and working with patients. This work it's like, it's how you think about it. This work is moment to moment to moment. Awareness, breath, breathing. Oh, look, I'm putting thought and worry onto that. And then there's another layer to this work that they want. If you have never come to my classes before, when I use the word they a lot, what happens is, so because there's a number of neuro people in the container today. This is what my guides are telling me. So do you remember in that meditation at the end, I had you connect to what's called your guides, your angels, your ancestors? If you listen to some of my videos on Skool, I take you through meditations where we have these non-physical energies. And I like to think of it like I'm connected to them, you're connected to them. And then it's like a jigsaw puzzle. So when we connect together in this container, all of your guides and divine support team are connected to mine. So it's like massive jigsaw. And I'm pulling my messages from that jigsaw from all of us. And those are the messages that are coming in. What was I going to say a second ago? So we want to understand that, okay, here it is. Most humans are control freaks. Hands up if you're a control freak. Thank you, Joey. I'm like, where are the good hands? Thank you, Kate. Amazing. Control think means that, excuse my language, I might swear sometimes, recovering control freak. Love it, Lindsay. It thinks that you effing exist. And not necessarily the older you get, but the more you practice this and realizing that you have about this much control, especially for those of you that are parents in the room, you can relate to, and I don't know, Joey, you've got a little one coming, so you don't have to hear this. You'll realize this in a few years, if not already. You have about this much control. Because each of your children come in with their own pattern, their soul incarnation, what they're here to do, especially those of you who have more than one kid. I think you guys are crazy. I'm joking. But when you realize you have about this much control, that's when life gets really fun. Really fun. Because then that number from thinking the ego's in charge versus spirit, because the reason we think we're in control, and if you're in my healing lab or return to self, a lot of the work I'm doing is now based on A Course in Miracles. So I'm trying to build it like one piece at a time. Okay, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull something up. Give me just 20 seconds in terms of like, or maybe a minute. in terms of my tech. I'm not a techie person, but I had this meeting with my clients from my return to self container on Saturday, and had some great ideas for me, not just with regard to my business, but that class as well. So one idea they gave me was to work with what's called a whiteboard. I had to figure out what a whiteboard was on the weekend. So I did. And so I wrote out some whiteboards on the weekend. So let me just see if I can figure out how I did this. 1 second. Don't forget, I always say I'm not that techie, but give me 1 second. Oh, here it is. Yay, I think I did it. I think I did. Yay, this is what I pulled up. Open board. Let me just see if, can you guys see that? Can you guys see anything? Yeah, kind of. Can you guys see something? It's more work, less clicks. Yes. Okay, goody. Why is that small? Why is that so small? Let me just see. Can I make that bigger? Nope, can't make it bigger. Okay, screw that. Can you guys see that? I apologize, it's so small. All right. So these are 3. I was working on this on the weekend to help my return to self and healing a lot of people. I didn't know I'd share this. Kind of get some of the 3 main principles from A Course in Miracles. And again, I apologize, it's so small. I'm not techie enough to figure out how to make it bigger. I know how to put my glasses on though. Okay. Step 1, formation of the ego. So the ego is formed when we come into the human body and we perceive that we're separate from the divine. We can drag and zoom in ourselves. Oh, good. Thanks, Presley. I didn't know that. Okay, goody. You guys can figure out how to do that. That means nothing to me. Okay. So because you think you're separate from God, you perceive separation. As a result of that, that creates thank you, whoever did that. That creates the idea of sadness, of fear, and lack. Okay. So that's the first thing that happens when you come into the human body. I don't know what you guys are doing. And you perceive that you're separate. And as a result of that perception of separation, that's where the first pain comes. And as a result of that, whoever's moving stuff around, that's when the second step happens, which is the identification of the ego. And the ego is simply the separated self. And I can't read what I wrote on the weekend. But as a result of the ego manifestation, I think I'm a separate body from Sharon, from Troy, and so on. Got it? And I can't read it because somebody moved it around, but that's okay. And then step 3 forms, which is what's called attack thoughts. And attack thoughts is, I've got to prove to myself and the world that I'm better than Rachel and better than Troy. And these are what the ego does to us all day, every day. It's constantly trying to keep us separate, keep us better, keep us winning, keep us, but it all comes from fear. So the idea, I'm going to stop sharing this. There's a lot more slides I was working on the weekend, but that was one of them. And so I want to play with that. Okay, cool, because they told me to play with that. So I guess that you can click that link to see it. Who knew? Anyways, so the whole idea that you're separate from the divine keeps us in control to prove that we're right and keeps us in fear and keeps us in attack. What if none of it's true? What if the truth is just pure love? What if the truth is the I am, and that is the work? It's like, okay, use a chat box, put into the chat box something that you feel you're afraid of or need to control or need to be right about. Just throw it into the chat box. Put it in the chat box right now. I need to make sure I make enough money. I need to make sure that I get enough clients. I need to make sure that, what do you feel like you're afraid of or need to control? That my bills are paid. Awesome, Lindsay. What else you guys got? Some real lifelines. Client creation. Beautiful, Joey. That my work matters. Nice, Alexis. Give you guys a second if there's other ones. I'm afraid of not having enough money. Perfect, Judy. Not having any friends. If I'm too spiritual. Oh, that's a good one. That's really good. Make sure that my money to be paid the bills. Everyone else is helping us. Wow, Val, that's a good one. I'm afraid that I'm over or under supporting my kids, that my child is safe. Client creation and pivoting to online. Friends shouldn't date my ex-boyfriends. A fear of lack, wrote Jenny. Money, patience, life experiences. Fear of failing at future career. Anger, mine and others. Fear of failure. Need to control everything so it doesn't happen. Madness, I know. Beautiful, Louise. Go ahead and close your eyes, everybody, especially those of you who typed into the chat box. And I want you to visualize your guides, your divine support team, and they want to help heal and shift these perceptions. Because any perception that is fear-based is the idea that you're somehow separate from the divine. And take a few breaths here. I want you to visualize, sense, see, or feel your guides, your angels, your ancestors stepping forward. And just breathe. And one of your guides is walking forward with a big platter. And she's asking you to put all those fears there. The fear of the money, the fear of not knowing, the fear of not having friends, the fear of being perceived as crazy. Just put them all there. And just keep breathing. Your breath is the important thing. Breathe. Long breath in, slow breath out. Deep breath in, quiet breath out. I would love you to imagine next that the Divine Mother walked over and she places her hand on your forehead. And she's asking you to repeat this statement over and over again in your mind. I can find peace instead of this. So I just want you to keep saying that to yourself. I can find peace instead of this, and just keep breathing. And your ability to shift your perception is going to be 100% connected to your ability to drop that thing on the platter, let go of it. There you go, there you go, there you go. So to allow you to have a shift in perception and to allow peace to enter your body and your mind, I can find peace instead of this. Now stay here for about 5, 10, 20 breaths. I can find peace instead of this. I can find peace instead of this. I can find peace instead of this. With your eyes closed and breath moving, I'd like you to imagine, sense, see, or feel that your guides, your divine support team, these angels, whatever you want to call them, see it like an electrical thing that's happening. They are trying to send you a shift in perception, a shift in mindset. But in order for you to receive this new electrical shift, your job is to drop that thing on the platter. Soften your shoulders. Breathe and simply say the statement, I can find peace instead of this. There you go. Nice work. And then after a few breaths, when you're ready, start to bring awareness back into the room, back into this moment. And then go and open your eyes. As you come back, if you had even the tiniest bit of shift in perception, please share it in the chat box. Maybe share what was before and what was after if you could, because by the law of one, if let's say Kate had a shift in perception and she shares it, then that's going to impact Deborah. By the law of one, if Tamara had a shift in perception, that's going to impact Alexis. So go ahead and share in the chat box if there was a shift and maybe what it was. I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that. Oh, Belle wrote, I am whole. I think what you wrote before was something about feeling like you were responsible for everyone else, or like your validation or something, right? Beautiful, Val. So what I was describing, because the picture they showed me was they want to start to imagine that there's electrons out here, and they can only enter your body and mind in a shift in perception if you're willing to drop this thought, this ego's thought system, so that the divine can speak to you. Nina wrote, I'm finding it hard to shift from ego to spirit in the last 2 weeks when growing a human. Yes, it happens. When you're pregnant, Nina, it's completely normal. Okay, beautiful. Presley wrote something earlier like she felt about her kids. She wrote, the new shift in perception is, I'm doing the best that I can with what I have to. Beautiful. I love that. Amanda wrote, she feels calm and peaceful, and everything is okay. And I want us to really hold what Amanda wrote. She wrote, everything is okay. She didn't write, everything is going to be okay. That tells me she connected with spirit, because spirit is always right now. Nina wrote, is that a story about pregnancy? No. Pregnancy does not necessarily make it more challenging, but it kind of puts our body into a bit more of a fight, flight, freeze, because we're in this kind of protective energy. So Nina, I wouldn't say it's a story. Joy wrote, from urgency to patience and faith. I love that, because what I want you to open up to, Joey, and I know you know this, when you're in urgency and fight, flight, freeze, and they want me to speak to client stuff in a second, which I will, they're saying speak to that, which I will, that increases your neural pathways. Deborah wrote, more peace came in. More of all good is incoming. Tamara wrote, I had a brief bout with imposter syndrome, but I felt that energy of belief from my guidance system that filled me with golden light, warmth, and feeling that I am whole and loved. I love that. I felt that I'm resourcing from a different place. Yes. Rachel wrote, she felt she's okay. She felt calm. I speak to one thing about clients and money, because that was a theme that a lot of you guys wrote in. Then I'll put to Q&A. It's because a lot of people who are on this call are coaches or creating businesses. So, do not hear this as wrong. Please don't hear this as wrong. You can go spend $1 million on how do I build my business? How do I get more clients? And I'm not saying that's wrong. How do I create a funnel? Perfect. I created this business that I run before all that stuff started. I think that's why I also created a business in the yoga world back in 2002, pre-social media. And what I realized from that experience and this experience, and a lot of the work I do in self-development, is, again, I'm very visual. Spirit is sending things all the time. This hair clip is to show you Spirit sending me stuff all the time. And they'll send me depending on my emotion. And so if I'm like, okay, so this is again from A Course in Miracles. In the text, I think I did this in one of the videos for the abundance program. Being and having are the same energy. Okay. So if I feel like I'm lacking, so I don't have something, that tells me I'm not being it. Kind of make sense? If being and having are the same, and I don't feel like I've got something, then I'm not being it. Rocket science, right? So in the Western culture, really all around the world, we're taught that we have to go do something to make money. And because we've just wrapped up the abundance, this makes sense, this conversation. But if I want to create more clients, each moment of the day, each second, I am attracting, all seconds. So am I better off going, where are my clients? Where are they going to come from? Please find me. Please find me. Where are you? Where are you? Oh my God. Oh my God. Am I good doing that? Or if I put the time, this is the bit of a mind FUCK, or can I just sit still and go, I am the greatest coach who can help people with X, Y, Z. And you see when I'm doing that, I'm in the being energy. And being and having is the exact same vibration. But our nervous system, thank you from the ego. And if you looked at the triangles that I had set up, the first triangle is I'm lacking. That's the first thing from A Course in Miracles, is that you in some way are lacking because you're separate from the divine, then what you have to do is go prove your worth. And that's where the attack thoughts come in. I'm not enough. Nissa's better than me. Joey's better than me. That's attack. Because what am I doing? It's because I'm attacking myself because I think I'm lacking, and that feels awful. So what I do is then I attack everybody else. I attack them for how they drive. I attack them for what they wear. Or I attack them for their decisions. And the only reason we attack is because we attack ourselves, because we perceive we're lacking. So if being and having are the same, if I be my divine support team, if I be my guides, if I be my whole self more often, then I will have what I perceive I am lacking. The other expression is going to come in for me in a minute here. It'll come in just a minute. But anything you perceive you're lacking, give it away. Giving is proof of having. That's, again, ACIM quote. Giving is proof of having. So I do this stuff for free, correct? I do school stuff for free. Because if I give it away, I'm proving I have it. Can that make sense? If you look at, again, I'm in the spiritual self-development realm. So if you look at one of the biggest teachers in the realm of work I do, right? One of the biggest teachers is Abraham Hicks, which most of us have heard of. They teach law of attraction, blah, blah, blah. Who has one of the biggest followings? She does. What does she do? She takes all of her content that she presents in workshops. She puts a lot of it on YouTube. Well, I'm sure she doesn't do it. Her team does it. Puts it into free for the world. Because if she believes that giving is proof of having, she'll just give it away. Make sense? All right, so I'm going to pause there. Close your eyes, take a second. And I want you to reflect on what we've talked about. Just take a few breaths and reflect for a minute. And then I'm going to pull a Dan Harrison, who some of you guys know. What is your reflection so far before I go to Q&A and coaching? Once you've had a bit of a reflection from today's teaching so far, what do you want to share as your take home from today so far? And what you share, you're going to help everybody else with their sharing. I'll give you guys a minute. What is your take home from so far? And because by sharing your take home, you're cementing it into yourself, just so you all know. And it might be, I can find peace instead of this. It can be that the ego's thought system is a choice. What's your take home from today? Give you guys a minute. Being is having. I love that, Eileen. I love that. So if I'm looking for love for my husband, I am showing up in lack, correct? So I ain't gonna find it. I'm never gonna find it. Because I'm like, gimme, 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 gimme. I'm lacking, lacking, lacking. I ain't being it. I'm never gonna get it. See how it works? It's kind of crazy. I have and I am everything that I need. Oh my God. I love that, Joey. You wrote, giving is proof of having. Boom. And that I'm not going crazy thinking I'm creating a story with pregnancy. I love that, Nina. There's something within that I haven't looked at. I love that. Presley, beautiful. I love that, Belle. Every moment is a choice. Because we breathe 12 to 16 times a minute, give or take. Every breath is a choice. Giving away as sharing. I love that, Deborah. Is my knowing I have it now. I love that. Lack is a lie. There's next week I might do, oh no, I'm not here next week because I'll be hanging out with Chuck and Jude's and Rachel and whoever else is, I can't see what's on the call in Palm Springs. So we're not having a call next Monday, just so you know. Lack is an ego state. Exactly, Jenny, exactly. And I was just about to say, Jenny, this line that says, it's a lie of lack. The lie of lack, those exact words, lie of lack. All right, let's open to Q&A and coaching. So just slip your hand up. And again, if you're one of my other containers, if there's a whole bunch of hands up, I'll pull somebody who's not up just to, but yeah, throw your hand up. And if it's not one, I'll grab you first. So just throw your hand up. How you do that is you go into reactions. How do you do it? You go into reactions and then you stick your hand up. So I'll give you guys a minute to see whose hands go up. I'll give it a second. I need like the Jeopardy song in the background, which is going through my head, but it's not coming up. Amazing. Okay, I'll start with you, Presley. There's only one hand up. Cool. Start with you.
Hi.
How are you, hon?
I'm annoyed. That's what's coming up. And so what last week it was like my skin was whatever, and you told me that it was an annoyance. And it's been getting better. Like it's getting better. I've I'm getting so overly triggered, not triggered, but like annoyed by all these noises and twitching and picking and like it's like it's getting worse. Since the retreat is when I kind of brought it up and we were like, oh, it's just energy like kind of moving. She's picking up on us. And but like lately I've noticed it's like worse. And since everything that's went down, I'm noticing it. I'm getting really bothered by it and getting like irritated by her and I'm like, hey, like what is this? I seen a video last week about behaviors are just not learned tools.
Right.
And and she's got a fucking toolbox bigger than my toolbox because I've helped her like all of these like therapy like she her toolbox is so full, but she just doesn't use it. So I'm like, okay, like maybe we need to be more on her about this. Like maybe we're not like getting her to use her tools enough. Or like we're just kind of letting it slide. Like she lost her sister a year ago now. And it's just things are just I'm getting annoyed by it and I need to know what I'm not seeing.
Can I ask you how old is she again?
She's 13.
Okay.
Oh, baby's using the recorder. Okay, I'm here.
Okay. Still there? Okay. So anytime that I'm going to teach as well, Presley, so I'll jump back and forth.
Yeah.
Anytime that we're in this constant pattern, guys, it's always a shadow.
Mhm.
Got it? So what is a shadow? A shadow is an unconscious, subconscious thing that just takes us from 0 to 100. And just FYI,
Mhm.
and I'll say this with a lot of love to y'all, shadows do not want to be found. They're like the dust bunnies in the corner of your house that no matter how much you broom them out, they just keep finding locations. So there's something around, so a couple things I would look at. I'll use like it's not just a one-off thing. Presley, I'm just gonna do one. Like there's a bunch of they're showing me like there's a bunch of things that I'll type into the chat box at the same time that I say them. The first one is looking at why I respond with annoyance. Not that grace is the right necessarily the right energy, but not love. Like so that's there's an energy of like needing to fix, needing to make better, being annoyed, versus the I am in you. The I am the when I use the word I am is the connection to your
Yeah.
heart. The you just got that. The I am in
No,
you
I know. I've been thinking about that.
can
Okay.
respond to everything as it just is. So like so again, a little bit of a share. So with the stuff that's going on with the tariffs, the thing is it doesn't affect my husband and I directly at all. My husband can be a news addict. Like it's quite cute actually. He'll have the news on, he'll be like this. And I'll just kind of walk in and out of the room. And then on Saturday night, him and I went out for dinner. And I spent the day, most of the day with the return to self container people. And him and I went out for like a snack and whatever, sitting and talking. And he was just in a spiral, Presley. I was watching him and I could have responded from stop doing that. But then I was like aware the I am in me, Presley, can just hold space. So first thing I want you to do is like try to look at how much meaning you're putting on things and just pull back and go to neutrality. That's number one. Number two,
Mhm.
why am I putting so much meaning here? And then the third one is, it came in a second ago. And is there a reason here, sorry, is there a reason that I'm not asking her to use her tools?
Is there a reason that I'm not asking her to use her tools? But we do. But I do. I'm like, Ollie, you're dysregulated. Like
Take out
you
the
need to regulate it.
but time out, time out. I hear that word a lot and I love that word. I'm not saying it's wrong. But as soon as you tell somebody they're dysregulated, you're not actually serving them, especially a 13,
Okay.
especially a 13-year-old. I know it's a popular word to use nowadays. Trust me, I've heard it 1,000 times. But as soon as somebody tells me I'm dysregulated, guess what I'm going to say? Fuck off! And I'm
Yeah.
older than 13.
It's like, okay, so that's where we get like screwed up. It's like because Ollie has like her disabilities, right? So she's got like a genetic disorder and like she was diagnosed with FASD for a long time. It's like, fuck, where are we supposed to go with this? Like, how much direction? That's why I was saying, like, am I being not supportive enough or like direct enough with her? Or am I being too direct with her? Like, where is the medium of like, she's fucking pissed off anytime we tell her to do anything because she's
Totally.
13.
So
Like,
adding to her
and
that she's doing it wrong by telling her she's dysregulated is actually causing a backlash to you. Does that make sense? Breathe, breathe, breathe.
okay, so how do we direct her? Or how can I? Because I was asking myself that this morning, like, am I trying to fix this? Is
Yeah.
that what's going on? Like, is my fixing it this coming in right now? Or am I seeing, like, is the universe showing me right now that we're not helping her and she's losing it? It's just like them showing me, like, I need to help her right now because we haven't been paying attention to her. I've been working so hard on my shit. Is that what I'm
So
doing
they're
right
not giving
now?
me a specific answer to that. So when the guys don't give me a specific answer, if somebody, so a client asks me a step A, step B answer, I don't get anything specific. It's because that there's two things I want to say. That means that it's up to you to answer that question, but you can't answer that question until you find the place of I am with her. So what's the energy of I am? I know you've watched me coach people 1,000 times, Presley. I know you watch me. The I
Yeah.
am energy is if you watch me coach, like when I'm going to coach Kate and Alexis next, I want you to watch me coach them. Because the big energy of I am is this place of not just neutrality, but of witness consciousness. And that's when the intuition can come in. But figuring it out is not intuition. Does that make sense? Figuring it out is like, you just got that. It's like labeling it. Okay, this is the, when people write a pros and cons list, for those of us who are married, did we come up with a pros and cons list? We might have, but I hope it was your intuition that spoke more. Do you get it? Because when we come with a pros and cons list, you just got that. But what they're telling me is if she can find the place of I am grace for her daughter, then the intuition will come running in.
Hey, like, because I've been, like, because I can see it, I can see it's bugging me. So I've been asking, like, show me, like, to be a good mother to my kids, like, and then, but it always like getting louder and louder and louder, and it's like, I need to settle, I need to
Exactly, because
quiet.
she's reflecting you, trying to figure it out.
Yes,
Got it?
and figuring it because like Coulter's been really, he's like crumbling in his
Right.
own shit right now,
Yeah.
and like I can see it. Maybe that's why my fix it is like turning up because I'm like,
Totally.
you're just laying, like you're
Yeah,
just staying, like
totally.
she's losing it, like, and I feel like that's
Right.
it.
That's exactly what's happening. So what I want you to do is just pull back, go into the I am grace, ask spirit for an intuitive nudge, and that's it. There you go. See how much more settled you are right now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
that's
was,
it. Because guys, just as probably I'm using you as a teaching example too.
yeah, no.
Anytime you're like this, you're in the ego thought system.
Hmm.
And just Presley, Joni sent in the text as well, specifically for your daughter.
Yeah, the diet. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, I've
And
seen
so you
that.
can
I
message
read
her
it.
back if you want. But all up from an energetic point of view, because they just showed me she knows the answer intuitively, but she can't get it because she's in this. So watch me when I coach Kate and Alexis, and I know you've seen me 1,000 times, but that's the key to our intuition is sitting back and not jumping in.
Okay.
So I want you to pretend me when you're a mother, not pretend, but like bring me in, bring in that energy of that I am. And guys, I've been coached a million times, which is how I can do that so easily. Is like I've had it done to me a million times, which is why I can do it a million times. So,
Okay. Okay, I'll watch.
thank you so much, love Presley. Big. Hey, Kate, how are you?
Good morning. Good. It's very early here, but good. I sort of have a little bit of a twofold question because you did mention the connection to the guide. So, and I did attempt this exercise last week because I do get this vertigo that sort of comes on, and I get in this really fearful state and quite anxious state and so forth. So I did attempt to do the connection to the guides and sort of ask for that guidance and show me what am I missing, because it's something that just constantly reappears every so often, every few months. and I've been in that really fear-based energy, like struggling to really move up the scale. So I did have this meditation. And I had this incredible experience because I did see a lot of stuff during that meditation. I was very consciously aware that I'm not dreaming, like I haven't fallen asleep, I'm awake, but I was seeing things as if I was seeing it with my own eyes, which was lots of shapes. I was actually seeing slides. So I asked to be shown the answer, and I was shown slides that kept popping up, different colors, different sort of geometric shapes, lots of pyramids, and then kind of the universe. It's almost as if I flew through the universe, could see planets, and everything was moving. Felt kind of nice. I came out of it feeling a little bit, oh, I don't know what this is. So I guess my first kind of question is, what is that experience and how do I interpret what that was?
Okay.
Because it was kind of like in the whole time I was doing it, it's like, I know I'm awake and I know I'm not asleep, and I'm seeing this through my third eye, and they're showing me I'm just not able to get an interpretation. So I reached out to someone who, I guess, call it as a spiritual coach or a spiritual healer that I've been to before, and kind of explain the situation in a text, and said, oh, what is this? How do I sort of describe it? And I guess the next question is her response to me, which was very kind of, oh, look, before we meditate, we need to clean the space. We need to cleanse ourselves. We need to pray for protection. We don't want to open portals, like dark portals, because there's dark portals. You could have gone into a dark portals and unleashed bad energy, and then it becomes worse. That kind of, and I've heard your stance on that whole protection side, which is a little bit different. So it was kind of like, no. Every time you meditate, every time you go to sleep, you need to create protection because you go into these dark portals and you don't want to latch on bad energy, which kind of then put me in this really even more fearful state because I was in a fearful state. And I guess keen to hear your thoughts on that, because it's kind of like I've sort of been scared to meditate, and even trying to get into that state with you before. I wrote resistance because I just keep getting resistance. It's kind of like, oh, well, I don't want to meditate. Like, what if I'm going and sort of latching onto, like, because I'm vibrating at such a low frequency. Like I feel like, well, I don't want to be attracting any portals. What are these negative portals? Like, I don't know. It's really made me feel a lot more fearful, I guess.
I totally get that. Wowzers. Can I just one question as we jump in here? You mentioned you saw these slides, right? Do you remember what was on the slides?
A lot of shapes, a lot of orange, red colors, and they were just popping up very quickly. Lots of pyramids,
okay,
lots of geometric shapes, and then it was as if like I was seeing planets, okay, and kind of almost being in space in the universe, and it was kind of like as if I was seeing it, but also floating. And then kind of like layers of purple were just washing over me over and over and over again.
Cool. And did you ask while you were having the slide experience what they were trying to show you? Did you ask them?
I did, and I kind of felt like a little bit scared, but a little bit kind of like I'm safe. But there was still that little bit of fear. And the thoughts that came, what I kept seeing is, you're seeing your birth, you're seeing your creation, you're getting downloads about your birth and your creation. And then I started to overthink and really kind of like, it's like, oh, am I really alive or am I dead? Because I kind of feel like I'm in my body, but I'm not in my body. And that thought scared me, and I just jolted up and kind of came out of that, which is then why I messaged going, because I kind of got a little bit fearful towards the end because I was trying to figure it out, but I couldn't.
So the other thing that you said was being in your body, not in your body. Interesting. Okay. So here's my spiel. I'm going to start with the healer you talked to first, and I would never call anyone wrong. So please don't hear it that way. Okay. So the quote that I put up, our greatest fear, that quote, right? Our greatest, and I know you were here for that part. I'm okay. Oh, they want me to say that. Our greatest fear is the light. Would you agree with that? Of how big that light is, of how big and massive and incredible that light is. That's our greatest fear. But as soon as you have a droplet where you don't believe that light, then you'll have darkness. Like just one little tiny droplet where I don't believe that light,
Yep.
the darkness comes in. Are you with me?
Yep.
And there's a layer of spiritual development. And I was jokingly saying it, but I don't know if I swore when they said this to me. I might not have said it. I didn't swear, at least. Oh, yeah, I know when it was. Remember we were talking about control, Kate, a little while ago? The joke they said to me that I actually didn't say, and I very rarely don't say what they said. I didn't say it because I guess I was going to say it now. They said, that's because you fucking believe you exist. That's what they actually said to me back then. That's one of our greatest fears, is that this body doesn't exist. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, I'm real. Since I was 2 years old, I was a name. That I was this, that I was that, that I was, and that's one of the greatest fears for every human, but especially spiritual people. Now, if you go really deep into Course in Miracles, really deep, and this is the mind fuck of it all. I don't exist. I'm somewhere out there having a dream of this person. I know you've heard that concept before.
Yep.
Right? But that is the mind screw up, because I have a kid, I've got a house, I've got all these things. What do you mean I don't exist? But the idea of giving that up is like a very, very, very deep spiritual concept and a mind blow. So I understand why people can't surrender to complete light. But it's ironic that you should bring this question up, though it's not ironic. Because if the greatest fear is light, you can see how a droplet of fear is like ink in water. But if you don't believe you exist, I actually don't believe I exist. I'm here. And I think, a lot of people say I'm not afraid of death, and but is that true? Right? And so where I'm going with this is, there's a whole dogma in the spiritual community about portals and fear. I don't go there. Divya as a teacher doesn't go there, straight up, Kate, because I'm so engrossed in my relationship with the divine. That's the only thing that matters to me, is my relationship with love. Got it?
Yeah.
And for me as a teacher, it's been a constant surrendering to that. I'm a physician, for God's sakes. None of my life makes any sense. None of it. So for me, it's been a constant surrender to love, surrender to love, surrender to love, surrender to love. And when people talk about portals, it's like, my experience as a spiritual teacher, for people that believe in portals, they have a lot of fear. And they haven't healed that fear. So she was reflecting your fear. Are you with me, Kate? And it's not that as a human doesn't go to fear. It's just I'm faster at shifting it. I mean, I had my husband walk me in today, not because I was afraid of falling, but I don't have a lot of grip on my things. But yeah, so probably was afraid of falling. But it's mostly that it's mostly because I've got Palm Springs this weekend. So if I come down with a big bruise, it does not feel good to stand for 5 days. You get it? So I'm like, babe, just walk me in. I'll hold your arm. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just an ice sheet between here and home. So it's like, do I look at it as a fear? Do I look at that as a choice from fear or love? I look at it as a choice from love. Do you get it?
Yep.
You can switch it in 1 second. Are you with me? So now if I go to the actual, so I'm not denying her, but I would say she was a reflection to your fear. If I go to the actual geometric shapes, they're trying to show you how big and magical the universe is compared to the fear that you're in. And the addiction to fear is the ego's consciousness, and it's just something that you've got to, like, when you take a dog, like a bone away from a dog's mouth, you just have to do it a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
You can't crank it because it doesn't work that way. It's a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. How is that sitting, Kate?
Yeah, I guess it'll be great to get a bit more understanding on what it was that I was being shown, and how it's kind of what it all means, because it is, for me, fear is, I've done so much inner work for so long, but I can be at this amazing place, and all it takes is that one drop of fear, like that's just that little ink, and I'm back into this really fear. And it could be fear about any small thing. So fear is one of those words that, one of the things that I've struggled through the journey, because it just keeps coming back. It just keeps coming back. And it could be like a tiny, tiny little bit that just completely sends me off.
I'm going to speak to that in 2 ways. So just bear with me. 2 ways. One thing they said a second ago, let me pull it back in. Yes, you've done tons of work and they're proud of you. Oh yeah, here it was. So and I want to speak to your fear of meditation in a second. When I get downloads from spirit, and I can't figure it out. Going to try to figure it out, like what did that mean, is actually fear-based.
Yeah.
Because they'll keep sending it to you. They'll just keep sending it to you. Does that make sense? And because we think we need to figure it out, but that means I think I exist. That means I think that's like, it's just like, if you can't figure it out from the, I actually ask my guides, all my clairs are open, my clairsentience, my clairvoyance, my clairaudience, my claircognizance. Let me see, sense, know, hear this differently. So sometimes it might be I'm in a coffee shop and I'll overhear this conversation. I'm like, oh, that's what they're talking about. That's it. Because if we're trying to figure it out, you could spend years trying to figure out what that geometrical thing was. Now, going back to your fear of meditation, which I respect, I honor, I personally would just say, look, I just want love. And what I'm afraid of is that massiveness of love, which is what they were trying to show you in those pictures. There's a whole other universe out there if you would just surrender to love.
Yeah, that's been the hard bit. That's been the struggle, the
And
surrender.
that's where you want to go.
And the
Why is
trust.
it hard? Stop there for a second. Why is it hard? Love is love, baby girl. Love, and like your guides are coming up and they're squeezing your cheeks right now. They're like, baby, and they're looking at your eyes going, baby girl, love is love. Sit still for a second. Sit still. There, right there, right there. Sit still. There. How is that feeling?
Good.
I want to teach you one thing, and if you get a chance to watch, I did it. I'll stick it here and just after I finish saying this, I talk about spiritual development as 3 blocks. Okay, box 1, box 2, box 3, and I explained this a little bit more in a video I did, which I'm going to stick up there in a second. So box 1 is when you first enter self-development. This is ages ago for you, and you're like, oh, I got these fear thoughts, I got these love thoughts, oh, right? Box 1. Then box 2 is shadow work, which I know you've done a lot of, right? Which is the unconscious crap. People can stay stuck in box 2. Box 3 is Tina, Louise, the people who are in my return to self container, they get hammered by box 3 until they're sick of me. Box 3 is the teachings from A Course in Miracles, the Divine Mother. It's only seeing God. And it's something that I hammer return to self until they're green in the face with this one. Because I know if they are coaching from box 3, they can coach box 1, box 2 like they're green in the face, but they have to apply it to their life and themselves. Box 3 is where true healing occurs. Box 3 is when I work in retreats and somebody comes up to me and say, I was raped when I was little. I'm not denying their pain and I hate men. And I hear this all the time. I take them to the place in box 3 that they weren't hurt or they're the I am. And that's when all that physical pain that was caused from that sexual abuse, which is why they've come to my retreat, goes away. Because it's box 3 is what you're not spending enough time in, Kate. Breathe into that for a second. Tell me what's coming up for you.
Yeah, it's like my body won't let me explore that option. I've been stuck between the box.
I love it how they freeze when this happens. So she's stuck between box 1 and box 2. Are you guys still there? You're not frozen on me? I guess I'm frozen. You're all frozen. That is hilarious. Oh, this is way too funny. I'll give it a second for it to clear. Are you still there, Kate?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone froze. That was hilarious. You were saying, and I'll tell you why it's funny in a second. It's funny because that means the degree of the energy.
Like I was literally saying, I'm stuck between box 2 and 3 and everything froze.
I get that. I totally get that. And that shows you. And so look at my return to self class because that's where I hammer box 3. It is a deep, and if you ask any of these guys, I was trying to stick in my YouTube thing, but I didn't have too much work. So I'll just send it to the whole group later on. I'll put on Skool. If you don't hammer, box 3 is a hammering. It's a hammering. And you talk to anyone in the return to self, they'll like tell you they get plunged by it over and over. But it's a rewiring over and over and over and over again. And that's when shifts occur. That's when you break out of box 2.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I've been looking at the return to self, but just with the time frames of when you hold them and where I am, it's been I've looked at it quite a few times. It's really difficult to coordinate, because I'm in Australian Standard Time, so it's a really difficult times with work and trying to commit and everything else. So
I respect that. I do. And just keeping in mind
but
that
I'm sure it'll get aligned at some
sorry,
stage.
sorry, say that again.
I'm sure it will get aligned at some stage.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes us wanting to stay aligned. And just so you know, there's a few clients in that class who never show up to any classes live. They just watch recordings and they get as much out of it. So just FYI, something to think about. So,
Oh, okay, you can do
oh yeah, it's all
the recordings.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kate. Love it.
Okay.
Hey, Alexis, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks.
Amazing.
I have a question that kind of builds off of what I was asking about last week, which was basically the message there was it was work related and things weren't panning out the way I was expecting. And the message for me was about kind of rooting into that more surrender and feminine energy rather than what you described as like dog to a bone, where I'm like going after and after and after, and how that was sort of blocking opportunities. And so in the days following that, I really did try to root into that very feminine, very, allowing the right opportunity to present themselves to me. And then within a few days, back to back, I got 2 interviews that have materialized that are happening this week, which is really cool. And now I'm super excited. And usually when I'm at this stage, I'm a person who really part of my personal practice with manifestation is really visualizing opportunities working out and what I would be like in that role and, getting excited about it. And so now my question is about the nuance between surrendering to the right opportunity, but continuing to, do what feels right to me and going after the right opportunity and, how do I sort of balance those and make sure I'm coming from a spiritual place rather than an ego, just trying to go for what I want.
Oh, it's an amazing question. Both Kate, Alexis, your questions are amazing. Okay.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
First off, congratulations. That's amazing. So congratulations. Okay, according to your guides, I almost asked them which one should she choose. They're like, it doesn't matter. The answer is you want to listen to your gut. Your gut will answer you. Make sense, Alexis? Your gut will tell you. Because it's not, this is where I want to hopefully help you. There's never a right job and a wrong job, and you're older, so you know that. You look at your life path, right? Everything we run into is about healing something in us. Kind of make sense? So whichever job is you choose, whatever your gut tells you, it's not like there's a magical oh, look, I'm off to Goldilocks land here, right? It's something that I need to learn and journey there. Does that make sense? And even in all of the classes I teach, Alexis, as much as I'm teaching them, I am in constant journey. That makes sense? A spiritual teacher has to surrender and just journey after journey after journey. But they keep telling me that there's not a right one or wrong. There's the gut one. And the gut one is the one that you're going to have the greatest growth spiritually in. And whichever job it is, they're telling me it's going to teach you how to let go of control, learn to have fun, learn to laugh, learn to dance. That kind of what they're saying. I know. How is that sitting?
I mean, it sounds exciting for sure. And there is one that I'm more excited about. And I'm also one to always do pros and cons list in my head, which kind of ties into what you were saying of each one. And it has a few cons, but a lot more pros. But I haven't had the interview yet. I don't know if it's going to work out. So I'm trying not to, be in that more, this is what I want, but just be if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, then it just wasn't meant to be. If that makes sense.
100%. Really, it is just surrender. It's what I was saying to Kate, and this is the hardest part. It's surrendering, right? And it's often that you there's a visualization, imagining, and then you know how they say with visualizing, imagining, is you visualize it, you imagine it, and you let go. Right? That which is the highest grade is good, and that is the hard part right now for you is letting go. But if you can let go of the idea, Alexis, that you're in charge, and I have goosebumps everywhere. That's where your guys can take you in because there's a massive growth that's going to occur in this job that you can't see right now, but they're excited for.
Okay.
How does that feel?
Okay. It sits well, and I have a sort of related question, if there's time. So my first session with this program was last week. And coincidentally, about 2 or 3 weeks before that, I had tried to sort of call upon spirit guides, sort of in like a very conscious meditation. I was more like a moving flow sort of situation. And that night, I'm not a huge dreamer, but I did have a really vivid dream that night. And I was like walking into this building with all these rooms. And I walked into a room, which I very much felt was like a spirit guide. And it took the form of a Indigenous man. And I work in the Indigenous field. And there was a conversation, which I forgot a lot about. But the one thing that really came through that has stuck with me is, you're not ready to integrate. I remember that's the exact line that was used. And so now when we're going through like this practice where I'm like putting my fears on a platter, I'm trying to like sort of disconnect it from the spirit guide element. And like, I don't know what they want or like how I'm supposed to move forward, if that makes sense, and like honor what that message was, but still seek my guides and guidance and all that good stuff.
And sorry, their message was, you're not ready to integrate?
Yes, that was the line. You're not ready to integrate.
All right, got it. And what did that mean to you?
To me, it meant like, so one time when you and I had a session, we talked about the fact that I was going to have a psychic breakthrough at 33, which I'm not yet, but I'm approaching. And so we talked about the fact that like, I can kind of prepare for that by getting more into like the meditation practices, And so for me, it was related to that somehow. And I don't quite know how to connect the two, but like it has something to do with that. Like we are meant to integrate at some point, but I'm not there yet.
And I've got goosebumps as you were just describing what you just said. They're saying, don't make too much of the message. Don't make too much of it. Just keep trusting love, keep trusting peace, keep meditating, keep knowing that whatever job you choose, it's going to be part of it. But they just said, you don't need to know right now. And you don't have to know. Just breathe, have fun, dance, have sex, laugh. But don't try to figure out. Yeah, they're saying don't figure anything out. Just let go.
Okay.
Let go, let God.
So then,
message that keeps coming in.
Okay. So then when we're doing like these meditations and you're like, imagine the mother stepping forward, or, imagine your spirit guides, I'm okay to connect to that. I'm okay to visualize those things. Okay.
100%. It's just the downloads will come faster and furious as you basically, they just show me your hips, and I don't know what your body looks like, Alexis. It doesn't really matter. That I have the hips is more of an energy of grounding. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So grounding, I know you know what grounding is, but grounding is about feeling safe in yourself. Does that make sense? And given your profession, there can be a lack of safety. The same with medicine. Does that make sense? And so they keep showing your hips. You need to ground in the safety of a God self, which is why Kate's question came right before you. Because if you're not grounded in the safety of just that, then everything's wobbly. Does that make any sense to your brain?
Kind of. Yeah. I definitely need like that. I need to be grounded. I'm always like, I'm a nervous person. I get nervous over things I shouldn't get nervous for, that mentally I know that I don't need to be nervous for, that will go well. But like physically, it feels like almost like a line of nervous energy from my throat to my stomach. Right. And I have a really hard time disconnecting from it. And I try and I breathe and I tell myself, it's okay. And it gets easier. Right. But I definitely think that for me is about a lack of grounding.
100%. So what I would do if I was you, if I would just do, I know you already do this, is do lots of grounding. So like what that means, stand in, and I don't know if I think you're in Vancouver. If you stand out in the snow today, right, take your shoes off, go into the soil. For me, a lot of it's exercise, like specific exercise, like yoga, walking barefoot, like I'm barefoot right now, eating potatoes, like those kinds of things are what I do for grounding. Drinking a lot of water, those kinds of things. And I'm constantly visualizing my feet on the earth and almost like roots reading from my feet into Mother Earth. So doing exercise like that all the time. Does that make sense?
Okay. Does
that help a bit?
Thank you. It does. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Alexis. I love it. Are you okay if I grab your question during the week? Are you still there? Apparently my Wi-Fi is slow, and apparently in my office space they're having Wi-Fi issues. I just got a note.
Sorry, I was saying yes, that's fine.
Okay, amazing. Awesome.
I'll just type it into the Google Sheet first.
Google Sheet? Thanks, Nina. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, awesome. Let's do a closing meditation. I apologize about the tech stuff. Apparently the office is having tech issues because of the snow. I don't know. Go and close your eyes. Take a breath. Going back to the statement from today. I can find peace instead of this. I can find peace instead of this. I can find peace instead of this. Stay here for about 6 or 10 breaths. Nice. And then when you're ready, go and open your eyes. Nice work, guys. So next week, there's not a school call because I'm in Palm Springs having some fun, having a blast in the sun. So I will see you all in 2 weeks. Sending you guys so much love. Have a beautiful day. Take care, guys.